Oh, let's start it off. I want to first introduce everyone. I'm Ty Gow, and I'm an investigator on the Haunt Me. Shying away in the corner is our producer, Nick Nordforce. There he goes. Round of applause.
Yeah, this could not happen.
Lars Kearney. He's a tech guy.
He's also running the con, so he's
in now. Ashley Brooks is the leader of this. She's the brainchild behind it. She made everything come from a dream to a reality. So a round of applause. Sean Roark, he is one of our investigators, and so is Katie Webb. They help us out on every investigation.
Two other members that couldn't be here today.
Yep, we have Carol Cleveland and Caitlin Weichel. They are both part of our team, extraordinary members, and they just were unfortunately not able to make it today. But you got 4 of us. So let's start it off, everyone. Ash, what is Haunt Me?
Haunt Me is a new main web series, and for those of you who don't know what a web series is, it's basically a TV show that airs online. It's really the main goal of the web series is to be able to have easy access to it. Online seems to be the best way to do that nowadays, and it is pretty much like a TV show in every way, except it's usually web series are usually a little bit shorter in their episodes, whereas a TV show would be 30 to 40 minutes. Web series usually run 10 to 20 minutes.
And the special announcement was made yesterday. Haunt Me will be featured on the Entertainment Experiment, which is a great network for local main web series. So if you want to know more about that, Ash, you want to talk?
Yep, the Entertainment Experiment was founded by Barry Dodd and Karen Dodd and Amy Marzin, and it's a new network that's sort of focusing on creative Maine filmmakers, web series creators, web comics. It's just a place to put all of the creative things that are coming out of Maine right now. And we're lucky enough to be one of the web series that's going to be premiering on that network. It's going to be available online in a couple weeks, so this is sort of a sneak peek at our first episode before it goes online. So
right, you guys get the special premiere because it won't be available for anyone else until the network goes live.
Right.
So that's why hopefully you guys are all excited to be here today.
So Haunt Me is a paranormal investigation web series. I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, have seen at least one paranormal investigation TV
Hands
show.
up, we've seen some some ghost shows.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal State, there's a lot of them. Ours is unique in that it's a web series and that it takes place entirely in Maine. Maine is rich in history, it's rich in spooky stories, urban legends, weird stuff. There's lots of that going on here, so we decided since we're all Mainers, why not just focus on that? No one has done that yet.
So who here's got some ghost stories that, you know, maybe brought you into this room? Let's see some hands.
I mean, you don't have to share them.
Yeah, don't need to share them. I just want to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people here have been some too.
I'm sure you might have heard something from someone else, even if you haven't had an experience. And you know, our goal is just to sort of open that up so that people can feel more comfortable talking about those experiences, not feel like they're crazy or weird, and we just wanted it to be more known.
So Ash, as far as evidence goes and stuff like that, what sets Haunt Me aside specifically? I know there's a rating system and stuff like that.
Yep. Well, you know, I mean, a lot of ghost shows that you might watch, there's, you know, they will gather evidence and you might see some of it, but there's really no real way to judge it against other places that they go to. So we really wanted to create a rating system so that we could differentiate each episode from one another. So basically, if we go to a place and we give it a rating, our rating system is from 1 to 10. 1 being the least haunted, 10 being the most haunted. We'll explain that a little more in the episode. So that way, if a haunt merited a 3 rating, it would be less haunted than one that merited an 8. And that way, we're sort of providing a service for the people that we're investigating for. Like, here's how your place stacks up against some of the others.
So any other investigators out there who want to go follow our footsteps, you also know, hey, am I going to get possessed here? Yes or no? It's good to know before you go in. So I guess with that, what do you guys say we watch the episode?
We can talk some more, you guys can ask some questions.
We'll have some question and answer periods after, but I really hope you guys enjoy what you're about to see.
Do you want me to introduce the episode?
Introduce the episode, give the backstory when it all
Okay,
started.
so this started in January of this year, and we decided to set out and start investigating. And this was our first episode, so we sort of formed the group, and we decided to go on a training mission. And we went to one of our investigators' houses in Windham, Maine to do that, and this is the episode.
Another round of applause.
My name is Ashley Brooks, and with my team of 5 other investigators, we will be taking you on an exploration of some of Maine's most haunted locations. We'll seek to find places with notable paranormal history, a side of the great state of Maine that's rarely talked about. Is it haunted or not? Come with us and find out. Welcome to Haunt Me.
Haunt Me was born out of my intense curiosity for the unknown, and from my love of this mysterious state that I call home. As a young child, I had a number of paranormal experiences, and of course I doubted these things, because in our society they're rarely talked about. After opening up to others about the paranormal, I found that they felt similarly. A lot of people are having these experiences, they're just not talking about them. I wanted to open up that channel so that others would know they're not alone. I gathered 5 of my most adventurous Maine-born friends to help me on this quest. All of us have different beliefs and skill sets, but I knew that together we would make a well-rounded team.
So Ty and Carol, I know that you were in a paranormal investigation group in Maine before, so I think that you would be able to teach us a lot of valuable things.
Yeah, on my last team I was the audio analyst, and so what I did was a lot of work with EVP, so I was able to find evidence that way by recording sound and stuff like that.
Carol, I could use your expertise as well.
Yeah, I've done some research in some main locations, so that might be able to help.
Yeah, maybe you could help us find some places to investigate.
Sure.
And Sean, you have a really keen eye and you love art, so I think that you'd be good as sort of like a visual evidence analyst.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Caitlin, I know that you're really empathetic and sensitive toward people and spirits, so I think that'd be really useful.
Carol and Ty come from a team with a scientific background, while Katie and Caitlin are interested in more metaphysical techniques. I think having both of those ends of the spectrum will be helpful and more interesting, and maybe both sides can learn something from the other.
It would be really interesting to have a team with like a science basis as well to sort of validate the feelings that I have.
So Katie, I know that you're very interested in the occult and sort of mystical things, so maybe you could provide a research basis for that type of stuff too.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Well, now we just need a place to train at and sort of investigate for the first time, somewhere that's going to be kind of safe for us and where we can actually get some evidence. Does anyone have any ideas?
Well, at my mom's house, a lot of stuff happens, and that's where we train Ty.
Carol's house seems like it will be a really good place to hone our skills and learn how to do each of our jobs for future investigations.
I was talking about a safe but active place that would be good for training, so I suggested my mother's house because growing up there I've had plenty of experiences, but I've never felt in harm's way, so I thought it would be good for our new group to go there and practice.
Tonight we're at Carol's mom's house in Windham, Maine, getting ready for our first ever investigation. We have both experienced investigators mixing with enthusiastic rookies, but I know that each one of us has something we can teach and something that we can learn from one another. This house is the perfect setting for our team to come together for the first time. Let's hope we can get some great evidence without getting hurt.
So Carol, you grew up in this house. Can you tell me some of the hot spots in it?
Yeah, the basement, the dining room, and this staircase connecting the two. My sister Madison's room is one. She's uncomfortable in there a lot. When she was about 4 or 5, she saw 2 little girls about that same age in the basement and asked if she could play with them.
So both you and your sister have had experiences.
Yes.
What about your mom?
Yeah, she has too. She'd love to tell you the story.
My name is Jen Elliott, and I've lived in this house for 10 years. Literally, when we were moving in, we were moving boxes in, and I saw a full-body apparition to the point where I thought someone was here helping us move. This area used to be a quarry also, back in the mid-1700s, and a lot of the stones for foundations in the area were quarried right out back of the house. We've had activity in my daughter's room. We've heard voices in there, someone calling her name. In the dining room here, the room that we're in right now, we've heard voices. Also down in the basement in the family room, we've had voices and shadow people. On the stairway, we've had movement, voices, we've seen shadow figures. At the bottom of the stairs is where I saw a full body apparition.
We investigate in total darkness, so we'll need a way to record evidence to share with our viewers. In order to do this, we'll be using infrared cameras, which film in black and white. That way, we'll be able to pick up evidence that would normally be outside of the spectrum the human eye can detect.
All right, everybody, so we're going to split up. We're going to have 3 people on the first floor on this floor and 3 down in the basement. And we're just going to go around, we're going to record, we're going to get some footage, and we're just going to kind of just explore through the rooms of the bar. Hi. Katie and Sean will start in the basement, and Carol and Caitlin will start with the table. So shy.
We can play a game. Why don't you come to the end of this block? I can talk to the flash, okay?
I just want to talk to you.
What is it about the house that you like? Did you live here?
Did you live here before the house was here?
EVPs are also called electronic voice phenomena. Some people believe that spirits can manifest their voices by manipulating electromagnetic energy, but unfortunately this can't be detected by the human ear. So instead we use digital audio recorders. The copper coil inside these recorders does react with electromagnetic energy, recording sounds that we otherwise would miss. Therefore, when we listen to our recordings back later, we'll be able to pick up on messages that spirits might have left behind for us.
Because you... Hold on. Did you? Okay, I'm feeling it pretty good right now.
I was sitting at the landing on top of the stairs.
Okay, let's shine the light. Shine the light right here. Right here. I just saw you go right here.
At the very bottom, I saw like the size of a cat, a shadow just run across the bottom. I've seen shadow figures like that before, different sizes, and just out of the corner of my eye.
For Carol?
Yeah.
I want one of you guys in this corner with your back to the wall. I don't know why it happened. I was thinking really, really hard about being touched, and then I thought it felt okay.
We heard it ting, the door moved.
Okay.
The door moved in Madison's room.
Yeah. Okay.
Charlie and I were standing right next to it, and we didn't notice until she said that.
So she's starting now.
Yeah, the cat footsteps at first, but obviously the cat investigating something serious behind the door. You can come out from behind the door. We all welcome your presence.
What is it, this area of the house? What's this area mean to you? What? Oh my god, it's been ice cold. Ice cold.
Well, we were sitting downstairs and I felt a cold spot after a few minutes, and Ash felt a cold spot.
It's coming from behind me, like the corners. Yeah, I'm just gonna check your bed.
I just saw a very weird,
Entrance. There's definitely no breeze.
Carol and I had also seen a weird light on the wall.
It was kind of flowing here and there, and then we heard a few clicking noises or scratching. We couldn't really pick it out, but at the peak of everything is when we heard a big boom.
If you're in here, can you make the clicking start again? Oh my god!
what was that?
What the?
What was that?
Well, we were hearing clicking, and the cat came over and was investigating behind the door, and then the cat left. And I said to Ty, the clicking has stopped, and Ty said, if you want to make another sound, now would be a good time. And that's when the mirror fell.
What? Was a cat? There was no that was in this room.
It was in this room.
No, I asked for something to happen now. Flashlight. Right there.
The mirror fell off. The mirror fell off the wall.
Was at the door. Wow.
Oh, the door. There's somebody behind the door. The cat was investigating behind the door.
Okay, what time is it?
It's 7:56.
So the cat was investigating behind the door. I asked for a sign, and the mirror fell off the door.
A couple minutes after we saw the light on the wall, we heard this enormous thud come from upstairs. So of course, we all freaked out, and Carol yelled upstairs, "Was that you?" And they said it wasn't them. That was our first real piece of evidence. After our first investigation, I have to say that our team really came together in a tremendous way. So that was a great first investigation.
It's really exciting that we all came together like that and that we actually caught some evidence on film.
I actually have that mirror falling clip on here if you guys want to watch it.
Yeah, I love seeing them.
So it's there. Yeah.
And I can't believe that happened because that door and mirror have taken a beating, and you know my sister's a teenager, so something's always wrong. It's always being slammed.
I think the coolest thing about that is that it happened like when me and Katie asked it to. Like that was on command.
So yeah, I think it was really awesome that the spirits were able to manipulate an object. It takes a lot of energy to do that. And so maybe that explains some of the cold spots that we were feeling.
Yeah, I was in the basement sitting next to Caitlin, and I was right near the wood stove, and I was feeling so cold.
And I wasn't at all.
Yeah.
I checked for drafts, I found nothing. I mean, it's not a drafty house anyways.
Right, plus that's interesting. If Caitlin didn't feel anything, she was next to you guys, maybe there was some energy pull or something.
Yeah.
So there's obviously something going on in that house. I think we need to come up with a rating system to be able to say how haunted this place is compared to other houses that we're going to investigate.
Hobby will assign each investigation a number between 1 and 10, 1 being the least active and 10 being the most active. A rating of 1 to 3 means there might be some K2 interaction, and people might have individual personal experiences, but with no solid proof. This level is called frith, an Old English word meaning safe. A haunt would be raised to a 4 or a 5 if we happen to catch an EVP or find evidence of an object moving on its own. This level is called the obstreperous level, a word meaning minor troublemaking.
The next level would include frith and obstreperous level classifications, but would also have more visual evidence, including photos and videos that can't be debunked. This level would also have more intelligent activity. K2 involvement would be more deliberate. This level 6 through 7 would be called an angiate level haunt, which is an Old English word meaning understanding. The rating is escalated to the next level by the element of malice. If an investigator is put in danger while on a haunt, minor injuries occur, or extreme energy drain, this would classify the haunt as an 8 or a 9. This is the bellicose level, meaning aggression. Only a rare, extremely dangerous haunt would be given the score of 10. There would be violent spirits and life-threatening occurrences. This is the final level, called blood row, meaning bloodthirsty.
After talking over with the team, we decided to give Jen's house a score of 5. We all had personal experiences, including feeling cold spots and seeing lights and shadows. Mirror falling was what made us raise it into the obstreperous category. Since we're only going to haunt for one night, we feel it's fair to include our host experiences in our final rate of the house. In order to do this, we will assign a pre-rate number to the evidence presented to us before the investigation, which we will then average with our own score. We gave this house a pre-rate of 2, because while we heard about a number of paranormal occurrences, the majority of them were personal experiences. That's not to say we discount them, just that our scores ride on evidence and physical proof. Averaging those two scores together gives us a final score of 3.5, meaning Jen's house falls between the frith and obstreperous levels. It was a nice safe haunt for our first night out, but we didn't go home empty-handed. I'm so glad our first investigation was a success.
What do you guys think? For the first episode. Only better from here too.
Yeah.
So, I guess what we could do now is we'll probably ask our group a few questions and we'll open it up to the floor for all you guys. So hold on to your questions for just one moment. But my question to people, specifically Katie and Ash, why did you guys join me?
I had never done any official ghost hunting before, but I went to college in Farmington for a here, and I had a friend that we went on a little ghost hunt, and I took a couple of photos, and I had people in abandoned windows, and just
Give you face
yeah,
for it.
that was the end.
Well, I know that Ty and Carol both came from a Maine team, a Maine investigation team, and so I went with them on one of the investigations. We went to a place called the Bridgewater Triangle, which is in Massachusetts. It's sort of a triangular point of land where just a bunch of activity happens. And so we went to this woods that was like a burial ground. There was also cultist shack or something that we went to. So
Pet cemetery.
there was a pet cemetery. There was a lot of stuff going on, and that's sort of
happy place.
no. And so that sort of got me interested in it. And I mean, I had always been interested in this stuff to begin with, but I know that Ty came from that background, which really helped.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't know what did. I think probably watching Ghost Hunters on TV when I was bored in high school set me off, and I was just like, hey, I want to do that too. So after I graduated, I just looked up paranormal groups in the area, and I joined up with this one group called Prime, and that's where I met Carol. And we had some of the most amazing adventures and horrifying experiences there. I know particularly one that Ash likes is we went to Waverly Hills, Kentucky. Has anyone heard about that?
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a tuberculosis sanatorium in which it's probably one of the most grisly hospitals in the United States. It ranks consistently #1 on the most haunted list of North America.
I wanted to ask, how easy was it to get in there? Because that's been a place I've always wanted to visit myself.
Surprisingly, we came from a reputable group, and so all of us has a couple phone calls, and then we got the entire night to ourselves.
Wow.
So we secured 8 hours in there, and I'll bore you guys the details, but I left different than I went in. It is literally the most terrifying place I've ever been in my entire life, and it's hard to pretend that, you know, stuff like this doesn't exist when you spend 8 hours in the dark where over 5,000 people died. That's why I did it.
Yeah. I know that, I forgot what I was going to say. After going to Carol's house, we tried to go to more historically sort of relevant places in Maine. So we started going to places that you guys could potentially even visit, because, I mean, that's a residence, so that would be hard to do. But, I mean, maybe Carol's mom would invite you all. But we went to the Biddeford Mills, we went to the Main Street Grill in Standish, which is a restaurant and bar, the Irish Heritage Center on State Street in Portland. There are a number of notable Maine places that we're trying to go to.
Which is why we assigned the rating system, because we wanted to make this so interactive. So after we go, you guys can see what will happen to us. You guys can go experience it yourself, maybe have an idea of what's going to happen here and there.
Right.
And then I guess my next question for you, Ash, is how has this changed since you started it?
How has it changed?
Yeah, your idea initially when you started this, what to where it is now, what have you seen happen?
Well, I think that my idea of the paranormal has changed a lot. I sort of went into this being the type of person that's like, oh, you know, really scared of everything that I went into, and now it's not really like that. It kind of takes more for me to be like, okay, this place is haunted. I would say I've become more skeptical because people tell you a lot of stories, and then to really find the evidence to convince you guys, you know, I started thinking about it like, okay, if I feel, like in that first episode, I'm like, I feel cold. I don't really do that anymore because, I mean, it's not like you guys are going to understand what I'm saying, and it sounds like I could be making it up. So the type of evidence I look for now is stuff that's really concrete, so when it does happen, there's really no, you know, debating it.
Like, getting a chill or having a feeling is a lot less awesome than a mirror falling off the wall when you ask
Right.
me to.
Which is not to say that, I mean, those things don't happen and that we don't mention them at all, but I mean, we're trying harder to get actual evidence.
Right. It's easier to share something that you guys can see, but we also don't discount our own feelings. Because there's a lot of instances for me when, you know, when your gut tells you not to be in a room anymore, you should probably not be standing in the dark in the room anymore.
Which, yeah, we take that into account. It just is lower on the rating scale is all. And, yeah.
Why don't we open up for questions from other people? Do you guys have anything you'd like to ask?
Ash, so how do you, I don't know, how many have you done so far?
We have done 6 investigations. The first season is completely done at this point.
Are you hoping now when people watch it will suggest places, or
Yes.
is that what you're hoping for the
I mean,
future?
that's already started happening. We already have 2 in mind for season 2. We had to do a lot of work the first season because people didn't know who we were. It's like Ty says, when you're a group that people have heard of, it's easier because people come to you with their stories and their suggestions, and we're very open to that.
Yeah, we'd love to have your ghost stories.
Yeah.
Sir?
Of your 6 episodes, did you get how many episodes that rated higher than like 3.5 out of 5 in terms of your findings?
I think our highest one rated was 7.
There was an incident.
Yeah. And we try to round down because when something really big happens, we want it to be really
Blood road.
Yeah, blood road, right? We don't want to throw them willy-nilly away because we want it to be, actually
accurate.
Yes.
Like we don't just because it was our biggest experience, it might not be the biggest experience. So, I mean, at least for me, I've been able to weigh down my rating a little bit based on my times at Waverly Hills and Fort Mifflin and the Bridgewater Triangle. I know what closer to an 8 or a 9 might feel like.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think our rating system's pretty accurate then on. So when you guys see the 7, you'll understand why. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say you're doing an investigation, which is hypothetical, and you're thinking to yourself it's like a 4 or 5, and then it just turned to a 10. All right, let's do it.
Well.
Okay, great. So are you prepared for that?
Are we prepared for a 10?
Yeah.
I think at the beginning of the season, if I'm going to be honest, at the beginning of the season, at the episode you guys saw, I would say no. After working with these talented individuals over the course of the past year, I would say, hell yeah, bring it on. So.
I mean, we try our best now to not go into places expecting one thing or another. Even if somebody tells me, this has happened to me, I was pushed down the stairs, I almost died, you don't go in thinking that's going to happen to you because you're going to be disappointed if it doesn't. And if you go in thinking, I mean, I'm not saying,
I would be.
You know what I mean? You're going to be disappointed if things like that don't occur. Because there's one episode in particular where not much happens. And we all had really high expectations for that one. We watch a lot of Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. There's never an episode where someone doesn't get scratched, or something like that. That doesn't really happen in the real world. I'm not just saying that that's fake or anything, but just that sometimes you're not going to get nothing. And this show is more about our journey and debunking things. If there isn't anything, we're not going to make stuff up,
Exactly. I think that homes a source of realism for our show. Scientific approach. You're not going to be able to spend one night in a place and, get someone falling into a bathtub full of blood after they're looking for the child on TV. I mean, that's poltergeist.
Yeah.
So, we'll come close, and if we do get that, we promise to censor anything else that's too terrible for you guys to watch. But,
what's the length of time you stay in the place?
What was that?
What's the average length of time that you stay anywhere?
Well, in that first episode, it was January. You could see it was like 6 or 7 o'clock, and it was like pitch black. Like that was the time I'd say on average we were usually there till like 4 in the morning or so.
I'd say you get 6 to 8 hours, and then when the house is rocking, we don't leave. So I think the closest was almost dawn at the Main Street Grill, right?
Yeah, it was like 4:30.
The mill was alarmed.
The mill was a 2-night episode because it was so expansive. It was huge and stuff just kept happening, and
so we had to go back.
Yeah, and we want to go back again.
So we had 6 locations that we went to, but there were 7 episodes in season 1 because the mills is a 2-part episode. Anybody else have questions? It's about ghost hunting in general, or
the equipment we use.
So who pays for it? Oh, sorry.
As a lot of it's coming out of private funding. We're hoping we sell T-shirts. If you guys want that, we're hoping to get some more funding up for the next season. But I know a lot of this, with a lot of web series, especially where Karen was talking about it yesterday. You'll see in Maine, you have to foot the bill yourself. You want to make a dream happen, you just have to do it. And so I think that with us, a lot of that comes true, and we're willing to do it because we want to make this.
But does it take donations?
We do take donations.
we're not going to say no. Yeah.
And so you got a question?
I did a tour a few years ago, a bus tour in Salem, Massachusetts, and just down the street, I don't know if you know Salem at all, but there's a hotel called the Hawthorne.
Yes.
Just down the street from the Hawthorne and across, there's an old hotel. I'm not even sure if it's still a hotel, but it's considered to be the 3rd most haunted place in America with what you would consider to be level 8, level 9 kind of experience.
Okay.
Have you explored places like that yourself?
Me personally, I've gone to places like that. I haven't gone to that one in particular. But what we're doing right now is that we're really focusing on Maine. We want to keep this local for as long as we can. And I think that's just the dream Ash had when we started.
Right, but you know, it can always become Haunt Us, Haunt USA.
Yeah.
And Haunt the World.
Yeah, there you
Haunt
go.
you, Haunt Universe.
So yeah, we have ideas in the future because we want to keep this going for as long as possible. I'm
Yeah.
having a great time, and I know people I'm working with are enjoying it.
But we're
too,
not
so.
out of main locations yet, so we're not gonna
Yeah.
stray yet.
It's still rich, so we still got places to go.
There's lots.
And we know that a lot of you guys probably have stories to share too with us, so we would always take that into account if you guys have, want to shoot us a line. We have our business information up here.
It's fun.
We'd love to come out. We'd love to do an episode.
Who's more skittish amongst all these?
We all have different jobs, different abilities, different skills. I mean, we have our more scientific members for sure, and then, you know, from the thing we saw that there's more metaphysical members.
Carol.
Carol?
No, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know, I don't want
Charlie.
to talk badly about anyone.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say our tech crew. I'm going to go with the tech crew.
Yeah.
that's
They're
fine.
you know, they're there too, and you don't see them because
Right.
they're holding the cameras, they're manning the cameras. And there have been a couple instances, like our head cameraman, Charlie, has had voices. I mean, they're not immune. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they're not going to be touched because they're not on camera, you know, and stuff happens to them. Yeah. I find that some of the most skeptical people are the most scared. I'm going to be honest and just say that because when they can't explain it, it's way more terrifying.
You want to share the Krista example?
Yeah,
You did it
okay.
yourself, so.
We have one of our tech crew members, Krista, is one of the most skeptical people I've ever met. She's one of those that says, just because you say it happened, it didn't happen, I don't believe it. You know, she's just...
She could see anything we just showed you guys. And
She would have an
explain it
explanation
away.
for it. So anyway, she was at the Main Street Grill with us in Standish, the restaurant, and she, before the investigation even started, she was sitting at a table, and she, you know, is helping us film some stuff, and all of a sudden she jumps up from the table and says, something just brushed against my leg. And there was nobody near her, and there was nothing there, but she said it felt like an animal. And so actually when I talked to the man who owns that place, I told him that story. He said, was that in the front room on the first floor? And I said, yes. He's like, there is a ghost cat in that room. And so I told Krista that, and she had no explanation for it, and she turned white. She was just not okay.
What she told me, which is kind of funny, is she came running out of the room crying. And, I was like, what's going on? She goes, well, I thought Chris was rubbing my leg, her boyfriend. I thought Chris was rubbing my leg, and I turned around and he wasn't sitting next to me. So there's that. And I love that stuff. So I would put anyone in that type of situation. So any other questions that you guys might want to send our way?
Have you ever heard of anyone going out of their way to make a place haunted?
To make it haunted,
Like-
you mean like opening a gateway?
Or do
Yeah,
you
or
mean like
something.
people that are like
No, not-
faking evidence?
Yeah, not tricks, just like, making weird things go somewhere where they weren't before.
So you're talking about on this slide up Ouija boards and stuff like that, and not faking evidence?
Yeah, something like that.
I
Dramatic.
Not in my travels because that's real dangerous. I mean, I would not recommend going to a place that already has some mojo bumping and try to open up a gateway. And no, especially for our group, one of my standpoints is we go, we document what's there, and we move on. I wouldn't want to bring something across that I couldn't send away.
Also, I mean, you're sort of there to like help the people that are, letting you come into their home or place, and to open a gateway and then like bye is like a terrible thing to do. That's awful.
Yeah, you can't hire a maid to go clean that up.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to do that.
What are your goals for, obviously talking about staying in as long as you can, but your future, are you hoping to, as it goes on, that you can go to maybe New England and then?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah. I mean, we're happy in Maine right now. I mean, we're all from Maine. Every single person on our team is either born in Maine or has lived in Maine for the majority of their life. And I think we all feel it's like close to our hearts. And so we would stay here as long as we could, and then maybe eventually continue. I mean, I would love to investigate all over the world and still keep that Maine spirit alive within it, though, somehow.
Is there one place that like each of you have always wanted to go explore that you haven't?
I think that's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
Paviglia.
Yeah.
That's where I would want to go.
I want to go to a
What is it?
castle in like Scotland or England personally.
Ash wants to go to a castle in Scotland or England. I think the three of us, after Sean showed me this place, it's called Paviglia Island. It's off the coast of Italy, and it's called the Island of Bones, I believe.
They used to send people with
It was
plague victims.
Plague victims, criminals, just people who weren't valued in society for hundreds of years were sent to Paviglia Island, and the legend is that the hospitals and buildings there are actually up to their ashes, because when you're on the island, when they would pass away from the plague, they'd burn them and leave them. So it's reportedly one of the most insane places in the world, so much so that the Italian government has closed it down to travel.
And the fishermen won't even bring their boats near it.
There's I guess it would be like an unofficial blockade near it. You have to basically bribe people to go there. And when to that effect, I think Ghost Adventures was the episode I saw. No problem. They had to pay a local fisherman to drop them off before sunset, and then he came back after dawn, because there's so much lore attached to this place that no one wants to go near it. But I do. So.
Anybody else have any questions?
I just was wondering if you were going to explain the equipment we have on the table.
Sure. Well, this is just a regular recorder. We all carry a recorder when we go ghost hunting, and then we have to listen to ourselves. So, we try to.
Yeah. We do get a. It's difficult because without the visual aid, with it, in my experience, what you need to do is call anything that might be you. So
Right.
there's a lot of stomach gurgles, which
Yeah.
sounds like demonic moans.
Right.
So
you have to be really, what I meant by that when I said we have to listen to ourselves, you have to be really conscious of all the noise that you're making. If you say something, you have to be like, that was me. If you scuff your shoe on the floor, that was my shoe. You have to just call everything.
So,
and, yeah.
along the lines, it's when a baby girl is singing a lullaby to you, and no one's like, hey Katie, is that you?
Yeah.
And
And and we kind of all know each other's voices pretty well by now, and usually if we find something, we're not like, oh, that's definitely a ghost, we're like, everybody listen to this, who is this? And then if nobody is like, that's me, then we're like, that might be something then.
And with our technology too, our especially the program I use, when you look at it, it'll be a different wave file. It's a human voice, and then underneath it, there's other. So when you see those waves come up, you know to brace yourself.
Yeah. So we didn't find any EVPs in that particular episode, but there definitely are some in episodes to come. This is just a thermometer. Sometimes, you can check for drafts, you can check for just weird changes that can't be accounted for anything in the environment around you. This is fun.
Yeah.
This is a laser grid.
Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a little bit like you're in a video game, and so what you can do is you can just leave it like pointing down a hallway toward like a dark corner of the room, and then if anything breaks one of the grids, and you'll know because you can't see anything in the dark, so that way we'll be able to tell if something goes by. Do you want to explain?
Yeah. Want to hold it up? Okay, so this is a spirit box. It's kind of contested right now in the field, but what it does theoretically. Yeah, go for it.
It's going to be really loud and obnoxious for just a second, so you're right.
Is the little key on the side of the power button?
I don't know if the battery's in it actually, because they die fast.
Oh, okay. You'll see it in one of our episodes.
A couple, yeah. What it does is, there's a theory that ghosts need energy to manifest. That whether that be heat energy, from us, battery drain we get a lot on investigations, or white noise. It's thought that spirits can manipulate that white noise in order to manifest themselves in spoken tone. What this, the ghost box did, I first used it on an investigation with John Zaffis, who's a demonologist from the tours around New England, and he worked with me with it, and it scans through frequencies as fast as possible on the AM network. It basically throws out garbage and static. What happens, besides giving you a minor headache while you're using it, is you can ask questions if you're in an area where you think there might be something. So it's a little bit like fishing. So Ash will ask a question of, how old are you? And it'll go through its static, silent, it'll go 16, and then keep going through the radio stations. It's hit or miss. It's hard sometimes because there are radio stations in there you can hear words, And so the first time we were using it, I think the group was, you know, kind of didn't really understand what was going on until we got our first actual blip when it just goes silent and there's a woman's voice on the other side having a conversation with us. So that is the type of evidence we get from it, and it you know, it works when it wants to, but it's really neat when it does. And then lastly is the standard K2 meter, which I guess you guys have probably seen a dozen times if you watched any ghost hunting show. Does anyone know what it does? Want to throw it out there?
Does it measure EMF?
It does. Awesome. The EMF field is electromagnetic energy. Spirits supposedly generate this energy. So what we do when we go into any room in any investigation is we always sweep it first. We want to know where there are wires in the walls, where appliances might be putting out energy. Yeah, it will spike up too, especially since, you know, if you get a feeling or like a claim that someone's having nightmares or feeling like they're being watched, it can be from an EMF field. So we'll go over by the bed. One investigation I did before this team. The woman was having crazy nightmares, couldn't sleep at night, and we went over to one of her lamps that was made in the 80s, and it was blasting out red, which just means cancer. So basically, what we do is we scan the room first to find out where the pockets are. We note those, and then we go back later. So if you're in a room that has no electromagnetic energy at all, maybe power's not even hooked up like in a lot of the mills, and you're getting bleeps on that, there's something with you.
Especially, like, sometimes it will follow us.
Even outside, like, we've had experiences outside, which is really interesting. So.
And some of the best stuff that we got that you'll see in future episodes is the call and response, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
You can use it as a yes/no. Link it for yes, leave it for no. Or, as Katie does in one episode that you guys will see, ask it to get up to a certain color energy level. So they have to put out that much energy when you ask it, which is really rare, but we nailed it on one of the episodes, so it's pretty cool.
That means, because there are a couple different types of, like, haunts. There's, like, residual haunt. Basically, that means that whatever's there isn't aware that there's people there. It might not even be aware they're dead. They're just going about what they're doing, and that is not, they're not really interacting with us, if that's the case. Then there's also an intelligent haunt, which means that the ghost can reply to you that way.
Definitely. So those are our 5 main ghost hunting equipment things that we use. Also, for the tech crew, they film in the dark. So we have IR cameras that are stationed throughout the episode that Nick helps us place strategically around our investigation. And then we have 2 mobiles, which Linda right here in the front row, her son is our main cameraman, and so he comes out with us, and again, to speak to our tech team that moves around with us. We're hunting in the dark. We have flashlights sometimes, but we're looking for stuff. They have cameras up to their face, walking backwards in the dark. So
they are some of the bravest people.
Exactly.
They follow us to some weird places.
Exactly, walking backwards down the stairs when there's a threat of being pushed down. So
yeah,
it's incredible. But yeah, great question. Thank you for that. Do you mind if I grab the person in the back?
Sorry, I can wait.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, I just was wondering, I don't know if you know, there's an app, like a phone app called Ghost Radar.
Right.
I'm just wondering what it is, because, like, it can't possibly be a thing, but a friend of mine has it on her phone and thinks it's, like, totally legit and is totally creeped out by it.
Don't take away her thunder, because you're probably loving it, but I don't think the iPhone is equipped with any of the stuff that you see here. I went on an investigation with just someone who wanted to come along once, and they brought that. It leaps out randomly, and there's another thing called, I think it's called the Oracle, I can't remember what it is, but it generates, when it hits an EMF pocket, it'll generate a word on your iPhone, and so randomly throughout the night it would say, you know, underpants, grass.
Sometimes you're like,
then it would say fire, and everyone's
you're
like, oh my god!
You died in a fire?
It died in a fire! Yeah, so, I mean, we use this because it's worked for us, we know it works. Not to discount anything that comes out on the Apple Store, but I wouldn't.
It's fun, but I wouldn't use it for anything serious.
Yeah. And now your question?
Did you have that, the laser field thing in the first episode? Because I noticed there was a cat that was totally chilling and not making
We didn't. The cat.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, the cat would have been really excited about that. But yeah, no, we didn't have that. We
Yeah.
So when is it air again?
Karen?
On the 19th of November.
Yeah, that's when the network is launching, and unfortunately we're out of time, but we'd love to, you know, speak with you guys out in the hallway if you want. Thank you so much.
Now, so we're going to be at our table over in the